Well, we've got a new member in the party and he's level 50. Yet somehow that magic-centric character does not have anywhere near as much MP as Rydia or Rosa. Hell, he's barely got more than Cecile. And Cecile is explicitly more of a swordsman than a magic guy. Really not making me a fan of this newbie, but then I don't think the writers give a damn about making the characters all that likable this far in. Anyone who is going to be hooked got hooked into the game a long time ago. Anyone who's gonna drop off of this game would have dropped off long before now. They can very much afford to be lazy this far in. Just so long as they don't do anything offensively terrible, they can do whatever they damn well please in whatever amount of time is left in the story. Really wish that Cecile had offensive magic considering his arm bows for casting spells. Looks like it came straight out of Dragon Ball. Wow. Highest level guy in the party, but slowest on the draw for some weird reason. As if I didn't have enough reason to be dismissive of our new ally. He didn't get a chance to cast a single spell in a magic-focused fight. I know he's an old man and all, but bloody hell, the guy is several levels above the rest of the team. I was expecting him to be especially amazing because of that fact. Instead, he just seems underwhelming for someone who's level 50. Maybe my standards are too high or something. Well, that's certainly something new. Sure, they're recolors of enemies we fought back on the planet, but still, this is the first time we've seen this configuration on the moon. Well, bombs don't seem especially durable, at least not for this stage of the game. Well, the worm seems to want to counterattack whenever we use a spell at any rate. Oh god, is this gonna be like the amoeba things and we need to use physical attacks to bring these bastards down? Because it would be several levels of what the hell if we gained a brand new mage, and at least 2 of the various random encounters in the place we gained him are not meant to be dealt with via magic, which is supposed to be his strength. And once again, Rydia strikes with her whip, and it does about as much damage as her spells would. And she is one of, if not the weakest physical striker on our team. Okay, so the Abyss Worm is going to counter absolutely everything with the same move. Doesn't matter if it's magical or physical. And good god, apparently the old man's high attack rating in the equipment screen doesn't translate to some strong striking power when he physically strikes somebody. Not that I was honestly expecting much, just looking at him there's no way he'd be hitting all that hard. He's a frickin' mage whose beard reaches the fucking floor. Regardless, the guy has not been performing anywhere near as well as I'd like if he's the highest level member of the team. Is it possible for us to get Kain back instead? Granted, I don't dislike the man as much as I dislike Edge. He hasn't had time to do anything narratively to piss me off. His personality so far is rather generic. Just the usual sort of thing you would expect from someone who's there mostly for the sake of giving exposition. It certainly feels pretty late in the story for someone who exists mostly for exposition to show up, though. And hilariously enough, the story felt a bit more tortured and confusing when he tried to explain things. It wasn't anything as out there as having to go back in time to stop the main villain from continuing a time loop. Garland turning into chaos was certainly quite a what the hell from the original Final Fantasy, and that certainly seemed like a pretty complicated story point to bring into that game, considering there wasn't really a cast or any especially well-written plot behind it. Hell, it was as simple a plot as you can get. World in danger, you heroes. Slay the right monsters and things will be safe again. The only characters that existed were the kind that generally were thrown away once we were done with whatever immediate thing we needed to do with them. It's not like the princess we rescued did anything after we rescued her, aside from giving us a flute we'd need over a dozen hours later. It's not like we needed to revisit that witch living in a cave after we gave her that glass eye. It's not like the elvish prince that we revived actually did anything once we woke him up from that coma. We just kept moving right along. So while this game's narrative is not exactly anything amazing, there is no denying that it's so many steps above the sort of narrative we saw in the original game that it's astounding. And it's really making me want to go through Final Fantasy III when we're done with this, just to see what the in-between state from where the series started and that next major evolution point ended up being. Both Final Fantasies 1 and 4 were groundbreaking to the point that other role-player games took a lot of inspiration from them. Not really sure if this armored fiend is supposed to be a robot, a cyborg, a demon, or something else, really. Hell, even its helmet is a bit of a mixed bag of European knight, samurai, and just plain robot. That one was certainly a lot more durable than most of the other enemies we've run into so far. Hell, I dare say he could hold his own if he was placed into the acid cave. I suppose that makes sense. This is technically another bonus dungeon, though unlike the bonus dungeons in the underground, this really doesn't feel all that out of the way compared to the actual main locations. Hell, in my first ever playthrough of this game, I needed a guide just to find out how to get to the Crystal Tower, period. This dungeon was the first location I actually found in that first playthrough, and while I'm not a fan of the old man in the team right now, it's still much better to go into this place with a full 5-person squad. At the very least, the old man can take a beating, so he helps to disperse the damage among the team. Not that he's all that much more durable than Edge or Rosa, despite his high-level advantage, but take what you can get. I'm sure there are probably ways to make that fight more efficient. Still, we can consistently win it, and we've got plenty of supplies left. I don't see too much reason to change up how we're handling it. Well, I'll be damned. A hidden path where we can actually see Cecile walking through it. Not that we can actually see the path itself. Still, it's an improvement over what we usually deal with, and I'll take it. And apparently what we get is a shield that slightly raises regular defense and lowers our magical defense by 2 points. Doesn't really feel like it's worth it considering our current gear. Guess Cecile isn't gonna wear the entire Genji set of equipment then. Something about the way the cave wall opens up for us to walk to the next area feels kinda creepy to me. I'm not really sure why, though. Well, that's certainly a unique-looking enemy. A bit more cartoonish than most of the others we've faced for some reason. And good God, even with full health, that would easily be a 2-hit kill against Edge. Yet, that same strike does significantly less damage to Rydia? I know being in the back row mitigates some of the damage, but I'm pretty sure it shouldn't be to that kind of extreme, especially considering her armor rating. Speaking of confusing, isn't fire supposed to be the main weakness of the undead in this game? Why the hell did he just shrug off a reasonably strong fire spell as if it was nothing, then retaliate with a full party fire spell of his own? What even determines if he's gonna hit us for over 1,000 health in a single move or not? Because the damage numbers here are feeling a bit too inconsistent. How the hell are you supposed to have plans for a fight if you have no clue if the next hit is gonna take you down? In terms of animation, the Bone Dragon's attacks all look the same. There isn't any message saying this or that strike is gonna be soft or hard. Again, it doesn't quite feel as bullshit to deal with as the Malboro, but it definitely is gonna be a stumbling point. Ah, well, at least nothing in this dungeon so far has been so scary to deal with that I just go fuck that and run away without bothering to fight it. Well, it certainly didn't take long to trigger the next fight, that's for sure. And lovely, we're fighting a different kind of dragon when our rows are reversed. I don't care if that is something we can reasonably be able to handle. I'm in no mood to deal with that kind of ambush right now. Apparently, the old man's magical resistance isn't anything to write home about either. Is there anything at all about the old man that makes it feel like it justifies us waiting this long in the game for him to join us? Well, that's an actual upgrade, unlike the Genji shield. I've been getting the distinct feeling that the stats don't really mean anything this far into the game, though. At least, not the stats that we see in the equipment screen. Maybe I'd have a better idea of what our team can handle if I bothered looking into the status screen every once in a while. Not that we know the stats of any of the creatures we're fighting this far in to compare how we match up against them or something. Only 1 health on that attack. For God's sakes, what's even going on here? I don't care about taking obscene amounts of damage, so long as it's consistent so I can brace myself for it. But the inconsistency and the lack of logic behind it is driving me crazy here. Well, at least this time nobody was knocked out while we were taking that thing on. I suppose that's an improvement. I'm starting to get the feeling we might have to retreat back to the planet just for the sake of grabbing some healing items before continuing on in here, but we're certainly burning through them at a fairly rapid rate. And as usual, we have no clue how deep we have to go into this dungeon before we're allowed to say we're done. Really wish I could feel like improving the defense and magical defense of our equipment means anything this far in. But with how hard some of these hits we've been taking have been, and considering those hard hits have been towards people with supposedly high defense, I can't help feeling I may as well be naked here. It definitely feels like the enemy's stats have been increasing faster than our own, even when we get the absolute best gear possible. Though maybe that's just my mind playing tricks on me, since this is the third bonus dungeon we've entered. A bonus dungeon that apparently decided to start throwing behemoths at us. They're extremely durable, do a lot of damage per hit, and they counterattack constantly. I'm sorry to say, we're kinda used to that kind of gimmick. It's not anything special outside of pure stats. Well, at least the behemoth doesn't seem to be immune to magic. That's something, though. I was really expecting such a high-level fire spell to do at least 4 digits worth of damage there. Does that mean that the 3 kinds of elemental spells are just not gonna cut it anymore, regardless of how much MP we pour into them? So, use something other than that? I was really hoping that Rydia's whip would paralyze the bastard. And great, now Cecile is out of the fight. The guy who has the most health and the most armor is the one to fall first here. And now Rydia's down. Not that she was doing all that much, since I wasn't using magic or summons. I probably should have had her using offensive spells instead of hoping we got lucky with that status effect connected to her tool. And now we're 3 down. This is a random encounter, not an outright boss fight. But it's pretty hard to deny the fact that I'm just getting my ass handed to me by this purple-furred beast. Please don't tell me this is gonna turn into a full-party death situation. I really don't want to have to go through the past 12 minutes all over again. Well, that lightning was pretty much useless. Hell, he did more damage by smacking that monster in the nose with his staff. Are elemental spells just not worth it this far into the game or something? Definitely feels that way, since a full-powered fire spell did painfully little to this damage sponge. Not much point in using Osmos, apparently, and, he counterattacks to that meaningless MP drain spell as well. Just what the hell are the magic users supposed to do here? Well, at least lightning had more of an effect than the other elements we've been throwing around. I suppose that's something. Still, not enough for my tastes. Well, it took us 42 clips before I finally started bothering to use any ethers in this game. Pretty impressive considering the sheer number of magic users we've worked with over the course of the entire game, but... Wait. We did the same damn spell, and it only did 22 damage, when the last time it was over 900. What in the hell is with these inconsistencies? Are there any deities listening at the moment? Apparently not, since the game is literally saying our prayer has gone unanswered. Good God! I'm finding that a lot funnier than I was probably meant to. Yeah, Cecile's cure really didn't do all that much in terms of healing. Please, someone remind me why Cecile absolutely had to change from a Black Knight to a Paladin. Because I've seen a lot of Paladins over the years, and Cecile is just not that impressive in terms of his magical abilities. Well, certainly doesn't look like Rydia has all that many options in terms of spells that would actually harm this bastard. Thankfully, Cecile was able to get the finishing blow. Dear God, that was a grueling one. Hope nobody minds that I'm gonna take a break at the first opportunity after that. Bloody hell, we've seen bosses that give us less trouble than that behemoth. And since it's a random encounter, there's always the chance we're gonna run into another one before we're done here. I'm not looking forward to that.